Here we're going to tie the Poxyback Callibaetis. First thing I'm going to do is just start my thread. I'm going to take my thread here all the way back to the bend. I'm going to take it a little farther down, just basically where the hook starts to bend. And I'm going to take some Whitlock SLF dubbing here and some Scud Shrimp Olive. I like this dubbing because it's kind of a mix between olive and gray and tan, which is exactly the color of a Callibaetis. All I'm going to do is I'm going to build up a little bit of a dubbing ball here right at the back of the fly. I'm going to take my thread a couple turns forward. Now the next thing to do is we're going to tie in the tail. For the tail I'm going to use 3 pieces of gray Ostrich Herl. You can also use olive or black for the tails. I'm going to use a light gray. We're going to even up these tips so that the tips are all even. Once I've got the tips even, we're going to tie these in. We want them to be about half of the length of the shank of the hook. So I just kind of roughly measured it out. I'm going to tie these right on top of the shank. And what we're going to do is we're going to just roughly split them with our fingers as we wrap back. This will help them splay to each side as I wrap back towards that dubbing ball. Give you a look here in a minute and show you what I'm talking about. There we go. See there, I have them split 3 ways. Then you can take your thread forward, trim out the excess. Now ready to tie in our ribbing material, which is just some pearl crystal flash. You can also use Flashaboo. I like the crystal flash because it's not quite as thick. Now we can dub our body. The body of this fly is nice and slim, so I have to be careful not to add too much. I'm going to add the same dubbing, Scud Shrimp Olive, and the Whitlock's SLF. I'm going to dub it nice and tight to my thread, tight as I can get it. Then I'll just dub a body forward. Like I said, nice and slender. Be careful not to build up too much, too fast. I add it in just small amounts and just build it up as I go forward. Just going to keep building it up until I get about 2/3 of the way up. I'm almost there. There we go. It should be about good. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my crystal flash. I'm just going to counter wrap. Just wrap the opposite way that I wrapped the dubbing. And I can capture it. Then I can tie in my casing. And for my casing, I'm just going to use some pheasant tail. You can also use turkey if you like. I use the pheasant tail just because it's common. I always have it laying around. And all we want is just a dark casing, so that's why you can use any of those feathers. Just want it to be nice and dark on top. Take our thread forward here, and we're just going to tie it in right on top of the shank. Smooth everything out. Now we're ready to tie in the gills, which is just the soft puffy, plumy feathers from the base of a pheasant feather or a partridge feather. I'm just going to tie these in right on the side of the shank of the hook. And trim the tips here if you have them a little too long. And I trim the butt ends. I do the same thing on the other side here. Once we've got the gills tied in, you can dub the thorax. Just use the same Whitlock's dubbing here. And we're going to dub a thorax. It's a little bit bulkier than the body, so we can apply just a little bit more dubbing to our thread. Still got to be careful though that you don't add too much. Just slowly build up a thorax. Add just a little bit more here. Gotta leave just a little bit of room up by the eye of the fly. I don't want to crowd it too much. And we'll take our thread right up to the eye. I'm going to take that pheasant tail, I'm just going to pull it right over the top. Lay down some nice tight wraps, making sure it's secure. And I can trim the tips of that out of there. Close as I can. Just kind of clean it all up, cover up those butt ends. And then what we're ready for are the legs. And for the legs, I like to use a partridge. What I'm going to do to prep the feathers, I'm going to take all the fluffy parts of the feather and strip off all the base feather. Then I'm going to get in here with my scissors. I'm going to trim out a little notch right up by the tip of the feather. And then we're ready to tie it in. Tie this in. I want these legs to be basically touching the gills, just barely, so I just take the feather and I pinch it into place very, very tight. Don't let it move on you. Then I do a nice loose wrap with my thread, second loose wrap and a third loose wrap, and then I can let go. While I'm holding my thread nice and tight, I'm just going to pull back on that partridge feather. I should be able to break the tips of the feather right out. That one fought me just a little bit. Usually I can get a nice clean break. And all you need to do is just kind of clean everything up with a couple wraps. Whip finish. And then we're ready to add the Poxyback, and you can either use epoxy or you can use your clear UV clear goo, your UV knot sense. And all you're going to do is you're just going to take some of it, apply it right to the wing casing itself, basically the pheasant that we put on there. And what I'm going to do is take a needle, I'm just going to work it into the wing case, all the way up to the head, all the way to each side of the wing case. Go just back to front, make sure it's all covered. Once you got it all covered up, get out your UV light. There we go. You have a finished Poxyback Callibaetis. Very effective fly on Stillwater lakes and ponds. I use it a lot out here in Colorado on Spinney Reservoir. Hands down my favorite Callibaetis nymph pattern. And you can buy all the materials for this fly at intheriffle.com.